Sony cutting the price of its underperforming PlayStation 3 video console. Now, the cut is from $600 to $500. The company is trying to juice sales ahead of this week's very important E3 video game trade show. But the move, as you can see, not doing a whole lot for Sony shares, which are down about 14 cents. Jim Goldman is tracking the story from our San Jose bureau. And Jim, the question is, you're cutting it from $600 to $500. They say this is going to, double sales in the U.S.? I mean, will it?
Good luck. I mean, really, this product is already so exorbitantly expensive at $600. There was such a huge backlash that even cutting it $100 still makes it more than twice as expensive as Nintendo's Wii. And it's still, 40% higher than Xbox 360. It's a great machine. It does a whole bunch. It's just been lacking in titles, and it's dealing with that high price that people are throwing up their hands thinking, what possibly can Sony do? There is little chance that this price cut, or even the new bigger hard drive that they're unveiling today, the 80 gig version, will be enough to get this console back on track. It is still a distant third when it's stacked up against Nintendo and Microsoft, and this is just not the great news that people were hoping for.
So all right, so it's a distant third, but I gotta say, all right, if they're going to cut prices by that much, which, look, it still seems steep at $500, but do you think Microsoft and Nintendo will cut prices as well? I mean, if I haven't gotten one of these things, should I wait and see who cuts prices?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. Sony, because it was so far off the charts as far as price was concerned, really had to cut its price in order to compete. There's a lot of talk that Microsoft might unveil some kind of matching $100 price discount, but I'm talking to a lot of insiders, both on the street and at the company, who say that with Halo 3 coming out, in September, that's, a billion-dollar franchise for Microsoft, that the company really doesn't need to cut prices because it's got the great titles and people are going to shell out the money anyway. And Nintendo, because it's already so inexpensive, $250, they don't really need to cut prices. They're already making money on every box. Really, Sony needed to cut prices even further, but because they're already losing so much huge cash on every box, they couldn't go any deeper than they already did. So I wouldn't look for price cuts from the other two this week, even though there's a lot of discussion that may happen.
All right, so what really has happened here from the beginning, Jim? We're talking about the PlayStation 3 being this problem child. It sort of seems strange because we wouldn't think about Sony as being a company in last place.
Yeah, it's a really good question. Sony owns the market thanks to PS2, which is still the hottest selling gaming console out there, even though we do have this new generation. The problem was there was so much talk about the great new technology that Sony was going to bring to market that this was going to be a game changer, if you will. And really, when it finally did get to market, it was late. There weren't enough titles that took advantage of all the cool whiz-bang technology. So it really never got out of the gate in any positive way. And while people were waiting for that device to come out, even though Xbox had its own series of delays, people thought, well, it's cheaper, there are better titles, there are more titles, I'm just going to go that route instead. And Sony has never been able to recover from that. And right now, I mean, really, you look at what Wii is doing, it's selling 3-to-1 in terms of its competition against the Sony PlayStation 3. Sony just can't compete. And, we talked to Jack Tretton earlier this morning. He's the president of the division. He's really optimistic about the big 10-year plan. Investors don't care about 10 years. They want to know this week, this quarter, next year. 10 years sounds great, but it's just not what people want to be here today.
Who knows what they want to do themselves in 10 years, right? All right,
exactly.
Thank you.